Slings, part 2. This week on Slings, part, what was Hot Shots? Part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2. We have probably the company that many of you are familiar with because it's a very popular sling, which would be Ferro Concepts, the Slingster. And then we have a company that virtually none of you will have heard of, which is a company called Sly Tactical. We are going to start with Sly Tactical, and then we will move into Ferro Concepts. Be warned, you be warned at home, that this one's probably going to be a little lengthier, mainly because we're going to have a lot to talk about with Sly. That's for a couple reasons. One, they're doing some stuff that's pretty unique. It's a bit of a surprise hit to us. I will tell you in advance, the relationship of this one is, so Justin from Sly Tactical, I got a message on Facebook Messenger, I believe it was, one night, going like, hey dude, would you have any interest if we sent you a sling? And I responded, I was like, we happen to be planning a series on slings right now. So like, for sure, let's talk. I will also tell you this. I, at first was like, I don't know. I kind of looked at their site and they were using a lot of snap hooks on things. And I was like, I don't know, you know, I'm kind of a QD guy. Now we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk snap hooks versus QDs because there's some interesting points there. But so our Sly Tactical slings were sent to us. Bit of a spoiler alert, but I'm just gonna get this out of the way. So it's actually the first company that we've liked enough where there was an opportunity of, hey, you guys are coming up and we're coming up, and like, what if we did an affiliate thing where we actually have like a 1911 Syndicate discount code where you guys can get a discount on slings. So before you guys are like, I'm prefacing with this, before you guys are like, oh, you're just pushing those slings because you're gonna get a kickback on it. It's the opposite. It's, we liked the slings a lot, and then we're like, well, shit. In all fairness, Justin was like, hey, would you guys want to do any affiliate stuff with us? And I told him no. I said, no, not going to happen here. I didn't say it like that, but I was internally
aggressive.
I literally told him, I was like, dude, honestly, I don't want to compromise trust with the audience with that. And then I got to thinking about it and I was like, ran the stuff for a little bit. I was like, look, I really like it. I don't think there's anything wrong with making money from producing content as long as you're upfront and honest about the connection there. So let that be known. We'll get into that as we go, but 1911 Syndicate on Sly Tactical is the discount code and you get 15% off. Pretty cool. Getting all that out of the way up front, so we'll go ahead and get into this. So first things first.
We're going to link that in the bottom?
Yeah, we'll link it in the
bottom.
Basically just go to our site and we'll have it up there.
Cool.
But anyway, so Sly Tactical, high-end sling company, okay? Very boutique, very high-end. About 70% of their end users are professionals. So while in the civilian market, many of you will not be aware of them, they're gonna be more so known with military and law enforcement, although again, in my opinion, without knowing behind the scenes of all the numbers and everything, still a relatively small boutique company, okay?
And on that note too, the creator of it, former SWAT cop, which is pretty cool. Justin, who reached out to us, former 11 Bravo in the Army, and then I can't remember the percentage, but your sling is handmade when you order it by either former law enforcement or current law enforcement, as well as former military or current military, all from special operations to infantry and everything. So kind of cool.
Very cool, and they're doing some unique stuff. We're gonna get into it. So one thing that you're gonna notice more with them, so like the sling that I have on from them, we're gonna show a couple different ones. I'm running a dedicated 2-point with QDs, okay? So both ends of this are gonna have QDs. Now, they have a lot of professional users who want snap hooks, and we'll chat a little bit about that. We'll get into that in a second, but one thing I'm gonna say before we get into that, and then we'll just show you kind of a quick demo of the slings, is I think one of the real defining things that we haven't found elsewhere with this slings, and mind you, we've run a lot of slings going through this series, is so they use something called Class 1 nylon. So Class 1 nylon is, it's the only nylon rated for like critical applications and like life threatening. They told me the exact verbiage here, made specifically for life support and critical applications. Okay, so basically, hey, look, if it gets cut, it's not going to fray as much. Okay, so it's going to still hold together well. Like 2,500 plus pounds,
yeah.
You know,
Tensile strength,
right? So very, very tough stuff. Now, as a side bonus, I will tell you, it's incredibly comfortable. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, when people talk about CCW and they're like, well, what's the most comfortable holster? And like, whatever tough guy's like, it's all uncomfortable, fucking millennial, toughen up. And I'm like, well, I get your point. None of it's comfortable, but it's like, if we can hit the point of everything functions properly, what's wrong with also being as comfortable as we can after that?
The saying is like, carrying a gun should be comfort, not comfortable.
Sure, like it ain't
I
never
won't
gonna
carry
be
a gun
pleasant.
then. So.
But the nylon is very, very comfortable. The padding is extremely comfortable, easily the most comfortable padding that we have. Blue Force Gear probably second on my list off the top of my head on that. But the Class 1 nylon thing, look, it's not common because it's more expensive. The con of it, right, if you had to find a con, would be that you can't print something like multicam on it, okay? So because of the weave of the nylon, there's certain patterns that it's really not gonna take patterns is kind of what it comes down to, right? So you're gonna see more solid colors. That's gonna be, I'm assuming FDE.
Yeah, Coyote FDE.
Kind of Coyote FDE range. This is
OD green.
This is OD green.
Traditional black.
You know, I've got a FDE floating around here. That's a green, but they've got black, you know, so it's more solid colors, you know, is my point to all of that. Finn, come on over. Sorry, the dog is back out, everyone, which is exciting, but he's been a real piece of shit today. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being a parent and saying, hey, sometimes my kid's a real piece of shit, you know? Hey. It's just, it's my parenting advice. You don't have to take it. It's just, Jake's 2 cents.
Also, parents would be lying. Kids can be assholes, man.
Kids are assholes, right? And my kid currently today is an asshole. So that's a little bit about Class 1 nylon. Why don't you kind of run through just like quick demo of that?
Yeah. The coolest thing with this is, you know, some slings have, we'll get into the others, but much like the Blue Force, it has the tab, right? Theirs is a tab, but it also has a T sewn into it. The greatest thing with this too, that we're both finding out as we run more of these slings and do this review, is I love when the gun cinches down when I pull down.
Yes.
Instead of the opposite, right? Because I got to pull up to shorten it, or lengthen it, where most you pull up to shorten it. This one,
I don't know
you
the
push
percentages
down.
on that, but yeah. But this system, for me, is a lot more intuitive, for sure.
Greatest thing with that too is as you're going down, cinches up nice and close. You can use your hands. You can sling it to your back, which you'll see in some of the videos. But
now you're going to notice one thing in this, which is going to be a difference between the two slings that we have on. So Chris is running a QD to his stock, and he's running a snap hook. And for those of you who are like, what's a snap hook?
Let's get up on that. That is a snap hook, spring loaded. And another caveat to theirs is they add a thumb ledge. So most snap hooks don't have that. So with gloves, you can push that down, where usually you just got to push this portion right there. Pretty sweet. I'm a fan.
And there's nothing to push because it's a hook. You literally just basically just clip it onto the attachment. And well, you know, we're just gonna kind of track around a little. Inevitably, I have notes and I have a system for how this is gonna go, and inevitably you're like, well, fuck it, I gotta talk about snap hooks now. So the snap hooks was a problem for me, caveat, when I first learned about them. It was like, you know, like I'm QD or die kind of thing. QD.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
You know,
I tapped out when he told me we use snap hooks primarily. I'm not interested.
To be perfectly honest, I was not interested. Yeah. I was like, I appreciate you reaching out. I didn't say this, but I was like, mentally, I was like, I appreciate you reaching out, but like, I'm afraid I'm going to wind up shitting on your product if I get it. And I don't want to be mean. I can be, but I don't want to be. So what is a common, in my mind, a little bit of a misconception. So here's another, this is what's called a QCS. From them, which is a convertible sling. You can run it 2-to-1. Now my shit's all twisted up, so if it looks a little odd, bear with me. But what's cool about it is, so, I mean, snap hooks, very intuitive, right? I mean, it literally just clips in. A complaint that you'll hear from people is it's loud, right? And it's gonna be super noisy when you're moving around. And in my experience, it's really not. And their caveat to that would be, hey, look, if you're an end user professional and like that at the loudest is like giving away your position or something, like, look, there's probably a lot of other shit that's gonna be louder than this. And especially once rounds start torching off, it's like, you know, look, that's probably not your main concern. So I get the point. You can get little snap hook silencers. Like I got some from Ferro Concepts put on this. Doesn't do a ton for me, so I took them off.
It's like rubber shrink.
Yeah, you can do different things to silence these. To me, it just really wasn't a big concern. One thing that's cool about this, so basically this is meant to run as a 2-point, which I don't have this gun set up as a 2-point because I just don't have enough rail space. So basically, hey, look, clip in back here, right? But then this little attachment point that is back here, I just
clip into
this. And a cool feature that I don't believe is on any of other slings on this QCS, if you're running either single or 2-point, is the ability to quickly detach, right? It's just a buckle, it's simple, even with gloves on. Hey, look, if you got to bail out of this sling quickly, very, very simple, you know, and that is a bit unique. So while I am still a little partial to QDs, the snap hook thing has quite grown on me.
I'm becoming a fan. And they talked about the reason why they kind of went with those is dirt, dust, debris can get into QDs and lock up and fail.
Literally happened to me earlier today. Yeah. I didn't highlight it on camera, but it happened to me earlier today.
Which, you know, again, if you're overseas, you do a helo insert, bunch of dust, your QD gets clogged up, like that could suck, right? And then also, that was my biggest concern, was silencing the snap hooks. Mm-hmm. And Justin made a very good point. He's like, dude, when we're going up on an objective to hit it overseas, you usually get compromised by a neighbor walking by, a barking dog, like 40 other things, not the sound of metal on metal, which is another good point. So, and again, we're regurgitating stuff that guys that have actually done that job told us.
Right.
So take that for what it's worth.
100%. Now, okay, so for me, probably the biggest point on these guys is, so when I say boutique, I like, if anyone knows me, if you knew me well, you would know how to sucker me into anything, which is make me feel special, okay? If you make me feel special, I'm gonna be like, candy? I'll get in the van, like, I'm in.
That van?
Because you know, like, just make me feel a part of your thing. So again, being a boutique company, one of the things they offer that is a little bit unique is when you're checking out, they have an option for, are you a righty or a lefty? Thank you. Thank you, because my people that are oppressed, you know, group as lefties, generally speaking, combine that with gingerism, like, you tell me that's not a group that takes a beating?
God hated you, dude.
You know, like, fuck, you know, like, Jesus. So anyway, so the lefty option is critical. Now, what is also very interesting is they will, if you are either a smaller fella who's like below, let's say 5'8", or a taller fella that's above like 6'2", I think is about the threshold.
Yep.
They're gonna make things per your height, okay? And frequently they're gonna call and ask just like, hey, look, are you a big human being or not? But like, this is the kind of stuff that my point to it being, they're gonna make stuff that's made to actually fit your body. And this is, I will tell you, of all the slings, their 2-point slings are the only ones that when I got in, I clipped the QDs in, and I did not adjust a damn thing.
At all.
And I haven't adjusted a damn thing since I've gotten it.
Same.
When it's cinched down, this is all the way cinched down, honestly, it's perfect, it's stable. What is very cool, okay, and this is a little point, I'm not trying to get into training stuff here, but this is just an observation that I've made, is when this is super tight, it would not be super quick and ergonomic to shoulder this gun. But I can shoulder it. And what's interesting, I'll turn this way because it'll make it a little easier for the camera, is when I shoulder this gun, if I simply bring that elbow down on top of the sling, it tightens everything up. And to be honest, I got a very damn stable shooting platform where like I would be willing to venture I could pretty comfortably hit steel at like 300 yards standing because I can torque that sling a little bit. The fact that I have not adjusted any of their slings,
not one,
has not happened anywhere else, you know, and that's cool. And again, that's not because like they were making stuff because they were like trying to, you know, bamboozle us into some deal. It's like, no, it's on their site. Are you a lefty? Are you tall? Are you short? Like, what are you? Let's make it so it fits for you. And that's a big point for me. Let's see, what else we got here? We'll have a little cut there and then transition back in now. Availability, lead time, super quick. Now, the reason for that is because, again, small company, right? Building up, getting presence out there, and those are my favorite times to discover companies when it's like, cool, like chances are your product's gonna ship pretty quick. And some of this stuff we're reviewing today, good luck even finding it, you know, like it's gonna be tough. But all this stuff is made to order.
And when you call, if you got questions, you're talking to Justin or Kevin, who's the owner, which again, I'm a big fan of the boutique stuff and like making it custom, but also the personal connection, right? Like,
Absolutely.
hey, who's this on the phone? Not some Bill, Tom, Dick, and Jane. It's literally the owner of the company. So kind of cool. I thought that was cool.
No, 100%. I mean, like I said, boutique company, like you're not dealing with Magpul, and that's not to throw shade at Magpul. I actually, you know, like almost everything about their sling that were, well, spoiler alert, that's coming in part 3. But you know, again, boutique company versus like, you know, big giant player. We talked a little bit about Class 1 nylon, which another cool thing about that, absorbs less water, so especially if you're working in some sort of maritime environment. That Class 1 nylon is going to make a difference there. The padding, extremely comfortable. They do have non-padded options. So if you're like, I'm wearing a plate carrier, I don't need the extra padding, knock yourself out.
I'm kind of in the wheelhouse. I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. Might as well get the padding.
Yeah, in all fairness, I haven't spent you know, some time in plate carriers, but not a ton. So I really don't qualify me as having enough experience to have a strong opinion on it one way or another. The slider, I will tell you, is excellent. And again, that's something that, look, all these slings are going to have quick adjustment sliders. It's excellent. It's very quick. Probably the smoothest of anything we've got. I mean, it's 100% not going to back out on you, like unless you pull on it. But when you pull on it or cinch it down, super smooth.
And they, you know, some arguments, some people might say this is going to get snagged on something. Dude, there's literally nothing for that to get snagged on.
You know, you could nitpick it and go, well, that slight 90-degree angle, I mean, in theory, could catch something. It could catch a mag, but again, I think it's gonna pretty seamlessly. Or, you know, I mean, you guys will no doubt see in drills as I'm slinging the gun to my back and doing this system, which is a little different than Chris. As this is coming around, sometimes that sling will catch the grip of my pistol, and I'll just have to remove that. Hey, that's just, you know, that's the choice that I've made, and that's something I got to deal with when I transition to my back. Another thing I would point out, most of these slings are going to have keepers in terms of how to secure your extra nylon there. Their keepers are excellent. They're sewn in, like they're really good. Like, look, we're doing nitpicky stuff now, but that's the nature of actually trying to make a helpful series for you guys. The keepers are really good. So even though there is extra material, it is secured in a way that you're not going to have any snag hazards with it. Not going to be flopping around, hitting you in the face. You're probably used to having things flop around and hit you in the face.
But not so flaccid things, more stiffer things, but
dude,
I'll take a flaccid one to the face.
Arizona, you guys do your thing, man.
Hey.
So let me hit some what would be perceived as cons, right? Because despite us being big fans, I am doing my best to remain as neutral as possible and go, okay, objectively, like, are there any cons to this? The biggest con that I would say...
Let me pause right there real quick. When we told them that too, we were full disclosure, full transparency. Hey, if we find something we don't like, we're going to tell you.
Yeah.
And they said, good.
Yeah.
And I said, how come? And they're like, we want to make it better.
Everything,
if that's a legit concern and we're having issues with it and multiple people have that concern, we're going to change it, right? So
I would tell you, I think probably my biggest, it's not a concern, I would just say, you know, for some people it's going to be a little bit of a barrier, is going to be price. Now, as outfitted, like with what Chris has, you're looking at right at $100. Okay, so that's in that zone of like, look, that's where all the high-end stuff winds up being, right at $100. If you run 2 QDs, okay, you're going to have to basically buy a second QD from them, and their QDs are very expensive. They're very nice, and they're like, you know, a very tactile button. Like they're very solid. They're Cerakoted QDs, but if you're running a 2-point with 2 QDs, you're going to wind up about $130. Now that would be the most expensive sling that we have out here. Now, if you're going, man, I really like the sling, but I don't know if I want to drop like between 2 QDs, you know, $60 and wind up at like $130 out the door. The hack that I would tell you, if you were going, well, I want the sling, but like, I don't want to drop that much money in QDs, use different QDs. Like this can come open-ended. So, hey, if you want to throw in different QDs or QDMs or whatever mounting hardware, go do that. Cause then you would be at like $70 and then add whatever mounting hardware you want. So that's an option if you're like, bro, I ain't got $130 to spend on a sling. 195 to 130 would like be your range. That'd be a little hack that I would tell you. Other cons, I would say, you know, the pro is Class 1 nylon. The con would be, I don't know what the hell I'm going to say now. That's the notes of the whole damn day.
And Buster saves the day.
That's why we have staff. We have staff here. Oh, we haven't told
Buster.
Chris yet. Our policy moving forward is when you say thank you, you have to say my pleasure. So just as an FYI.
Excuse me?
Oh, Chris hates Chick-fil-A. That's where you're a fucking communist. You hate Chick-fil-A.
Oh, is that from Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
I'd never know. I don't eat there.
Uh-oh.
It's subpar chicken.
Fuck this guy,
If you think
man.
it's good, please.
This guy comes up from Arizona. He's talking shit about God's chicken.
Dude, you're closed on Sunday and this chicken's just subpar. I don't care who you are.
Now back on track. Class 1 nylon, the Pro, very soft, super strong, all that good stuff. The con would be, as we already discussed, not gonna get a pattern on there. So if you needed multicam or something like that, that's not gonna be an option. So, hey, in the cons list, hey, that could be, even though that's also the case for some other companies, but just be aware of that. I would say another con would be if you were like, man, I really like the idea of these snap hooks, but I have an M-lock rail, which is what a lot of us are using, or I guess even key mod, which less of you are using. But for most of you, if you're using M-lock, the problem with that would be there. Do you have one on your gun? You do. Okay, perfect. Perfect example.
The way you got to set it up is a little Picatinny section where the snap hook clips into. And this is their own snap hook adapter, but there's just like a Magpul Picatinny section. Caveat to that though, they are developing
direct M-lock.
Direct M-lock and direct key mod. And I thought it was gonna annoy me at first. Here's the cool thing, is that Picatinny acts as like a little gas pedal if you need it to. So it's kind of a, what's the word?
I mean, you're just keeping a little
pleasant surprise that actually
okay.
adds more function to the rifle for me.
Okay,
you know?
Cool. Yeah, I'm neutral on that. I mean, obviously, I'd rather see that attachment just directly attached to M-lock instead of having to run a pick rail. But,
which they are making.
Yeah, but just know that that's coming. But hey, like I said, I'm giving you an honest assessment of things that I think could be better. We already talked about noise on the snap hooks. Not really a concern for me. The other thing that I would like to see, which I imagine they would do, whether soon or in the future, whatever, is with a QD 2-point, I would love to be able to also convert that to a single point. So basically the same system as the QCS, if you're on their site, where you can go from 2-point to 1-point. I would like an option to do that with QDs, right? So I basically like to have
like the Haley sling, like
yeah, I'd like to have this exact sling and be able to undo this QD and clip it in somewhere back here and run this as a single point.
Okay.
Those would really be my only real criticisms that I could find. Beyond that, I mean, like I said, this was a real, I think probably surprise winner for both of us, because it was a name that I was like, dude, I ain't never heard of you. You know, like I've just never heard of you, and you know, I've run a decent amount of gear over the years. But it was a really pleasant surprise, which, you know, some people make the point, and I think they're right, which is, dude, a lot of the best shit out there, you've never heard of it until you hear about it. You know, so it's like this is kind of one of those for me. Any other thoughts?
No, you know, at first I was kind of in the boat with you with QD. After talking with Justin and Kevin, I'm switching all my stuff to snap hooks. Yeah, literally everything.
Yeah, I am a fan. So. I am a fan. I haven't run that on a AR yet, but
there's just far too many pros in my book with snap hooks.
Yeah, I've got them on a couple AKs and they've been solid. But we'll go ahead and wrap this up, move on to Ferro Concepts. But again, we'll link it below. Discount code, it's 15% off. It's just 1911 Syndicate, no spaces, lowercase, everything. But hey, on a $100 sling, it's 15 bucks. So, you know, cool. Hey. Do your thing, right? And in all disclosure, yes, we get a kickback on that. But that's also thanks for helping us not go bankrupt, spending tons of money to produce content for you. So maybe we also actually make this thing work.
You can take that 15 bucks and buy that shitty ass chicken.
Fuck this guy, man. Okay, let's switch to Ferro.
I'm not saying it, dude, it's subpar chicken, dude. I don't get the hype.
You know what you are?
Communist?
Subpar.
Heard it before.
Thanks for coming out today, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Hear that? My pleasure.
You're welcome.
My pleasure.
I always enjoy gracing you with my presence.
Mm-hmm. So moving on to Ferro Concepts. Background on this, I know my sling was purchased by me. I'm assuming that you purchased that. And
this is a Gen 1.
It's a Gen 1. This is a Gen 2. So they're going to be slightly different. We'll take you through a little bit of the differences on that. But both these slings purchased. And yeah, so Ferro Concepts, I guess I would open with this. It's a company that has been, you're going to take this as a con. It's not a con, it's more just like I think we could probably all agree on this. It's a sling that has been adopted very much by like kind of like the
Cool Kids Club,
influencer circle, whatever you want to call it, right? And like, again, not a knock. I don't mean that to knock people at all. Hey, if you like it, rock it. But I'm saying I think it's a sling that's become very popular because a lot of people of influence run it. And many of them are, you know, basically all of them are, at the least, yeah, I mean, are really like more experienced, because a lot of them are professionals, and they go, this is the thing that I like. So it's like, cool, do your thing, right? And there's a lot that I like, and there's some things that I don't. So we're gonna get a little bit into that. Just start with price, just because we've been hitting that on all these slings. So base price of a Slingster is $55. If you want a couple of QDs from their site, that's going to run you $22. And they do have a 2-to-1 point conversion slider that would go, you know, in this general region. I have one that are, what are they, $20. And I put it on, I just didn't quite, you know, I don't know, for some reason, I can't even really tell you why I took it off. For some reason, I just didn't really connect with it. And with this particular rifle, which really, I have this rifle set, this sling set up for this rifle, it just made sense as a 2-point. That's, you know, that's just kind of where I came to with it. So they do have a 2-to-1 conversion for this. I own it, I just don't currently use it. But again, you factor in, hey, building out that sling, you're looking at about $9,500. So again, you guys are seeing the theme. You're looking at about $100 if you want like kind of the good shit that people stand by.
which is, I mean, realistically, that's not that much money.
No, it's not. For a piece of gear that I think many people
overlook.
Well, I think a lot of people go, sling's a sling. And frankly, I would have labeled myself in that category a handful of months ago. I would have been like, yeah, it's a sling. Like it slings over my body,
deal, right?
And like big deal. What's the difference? And I mean, I went from owning 2 slings, both Magpoles, to like 10 in a matter of like 2 weeks when all these things came in. And I was like, well, shit, I guess I'm gonna be playing with slings. And so like, legit, like I'll walk around the house, not to be like a psycho, but just to like, you know, kind of get reps. And, you know, like, I mean, I guess it does look a little psycho if a neighbor looks in and they're like, motherfucker's like slung up.
Or
like,
Chick-fil-A gets delivered and you're like, thanks.
They don't deliver Chick-fil-A, asshole.
Oh, they don't?
It's called a drive-through.
That's again another con to Chick-fil-A.
Jesus, dude.
Fuck that place.
Jesus. This is a channel where we are American.
I just don't get it, man. My wife loves it. I cannot. You know
wife's
how
smart.
you know
Wife's
how I
smart.
eat Chick-fil-A? Literally an entire bottle of ranch dressing. I can stomach it. Other than that, I wouldn't even feed it to my dog. That's how much I don't like it. Facts. Yeah. Comment section. Have fun. It's just subpar.
He's the one that said all that shit. I'm with you. I'm with the rest of the country. Chick-fil-A, right? You know what I'm saying.
They're not open on Sundays.
Chicken's chicken, man. Chicken's chicken. You gotta police chicken. So I'll hit you with a quick demo of, actually you do it. You've been doing demos. You do your fucking chicken.
What do you want me to demo? Just how this slides? This
Yeah,
is one
mainly.
thing too, you know, and maybe full disclosure, I could just be an idiot, which is probably it. But this slider is a metal slider.
Rotate, so the
I'm getting it set up. Relax.
fucking guy, man.
Jeez.
We're not made for the camera.
But the slider, again, pro to this, down, cinches, up, loosens.
That seems to be the
I like it.
standard, yeah.
I like it, man. Except for some of them, right? The slider is a metal piece that has some teeth in it, which is what locks onto the nylon. So once that's done, you kind of can't cinch it or move it at all. You got to release the tension by pulling straight up, and then you can slide it, which again, I kind of like.
Now,
The
that
caveat, 1 second,
Yep.
is,
Rude!
1 second,
1 second!
just think about Chick-fil-A, buddy, is that spring loaded.
Yes.
There's a big spring in there, which to me, again, it could be a failure point.
Possible failure point.
If you're doing maritime operations and salt water gets in there, could rust out. I'm sure they have it coated, all that fun stuff. But to me, it's kind of a, it's
more
another
moving
thing to go
parts.
wrong. It's another
Sure.
thing to go wrong. So,
Well, and the loop itself. So
and
again,
this
Gen 1.
in a Gen 1. Gen 1, I thought that was a giant snagging hazard, and I was actually going to cut it, and then never did. But
It's a good story.
could be a
good story about
be
a thing you
snag.
thought about doing that you didn't.
Thought
do.
about going to Chick-fil-A, and then I quickly changed my mind because it's dog
Stupid.
shit.
So the frequent criticism would have been with the Gen 1 is that loop, snag hazard, and so they came out with the Gen 2. The Gen 2 is going to have this rubberized tab. There's no loop, so there's really nothing for it to get stuck on. It's pretty intuitive. You know, you can grab it. So I'll say this. So I'm going to get into. Yeah, fuck it. I'll just fuck it. You know,
You're having issues with it, right?
I'll get into my con.
Yeah.
Okay, so my big con with this one, well, a couple things, and there's more pros, but I'm going to hit you with a couple things that I'm not a big fan of. So it's a very minimalist design. I'm fine with that. That would probably be in most people's like pros category. Very minimalist. It is not like, definitely not soft nylon. And again, I get it. Toughen up, pussy. Like, I get it. Okay, like it's not meant to be like comfortable, but again, like, did it need to be this? Like, it's just not super comfortable, and the padding on the padding on the pad, you know, is just it's very minimalist. It's very similar to the Haley. So if you like that, then that's a pro for you. For me, it's a little bit of a con. Now the pro of the pad would be that you can take it out. It's not sewn in, so you can adjust it. That's nice. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to be running plate carrier, I don't want the pad in, no problem, you can take it out. So you do have that versatility. That's a good thing. The material I don't love, but probably my biggest bottleneck with this is pros and cons of the adjuster. The pro, okay, we got rid of the loop, so it's snag free. That's not going to be an issue. It's nothing that's going to rust because it's rubberized. The angle of it is very good. It's kind of off at this 45-degree offset. So like, look, if you reach down, you're gonna find it. And again, you could always start with your gun, come back, you're gonna find this thing, right? You can go between the fingers, you can full grab it, you can do whatever you want. Now the con of all that for me, like you said, spring loaded, I didn't really think about that, but it is another moving part that not likely that anything's gonna happen, especially in a quick turnaround, but possible. For me, the big issue is...
We'll also say that does fail, the whole sling shot then.
Sure. But for me, the bigger problem is, so basically, versus most slings where you just pull or push, this you basically have to angle out, right, to release those teeth that are biting into the nylon, and then you can come out. Cool, easy enough. The problem for me is, so to go in, you're gonna cinch down, but again, I have an issue where this thing will kind of back out a little bit, right? So if you're trying to do shit quick, sometimes you'll be like, you're re-slinging up and you'll hit this point and then like you'll have a little back out, you know? I know I'm exaggerating that to prove the point, but like literally just did right there where because of that angle, there's a tendency for this thing as you're tightening it down to want to back out a little bit.
Like an inch or two, huh?
Yeah, you know, which for you, I mean, again, I guess an inch or two is pretty, you know, like you're used to that. You know, you're just used to seeing a couple inches. Now, that would probably be my biggest con. Couple little things. The pad not being sewn in, also nice for a lefty, and that's something that, as seen on other slings, especially if they have a pad, and it comes really with a right-handed shooter in mind, because again, fuck my people, right? It's nice that the pad's not sewn in, so I can adjust it. And I got this one positioned to a point where like, hey, it's very much in the right positions now. Slight con for me, so they're QDs that you buy on their site. The QD is very much recessed, so especially if you have gloves on, to get that QD out, like, it's not difficult, but you really do have to be able to push in there. I guess the pro of that would be, well, nothing's really gonna hit it and knock it out. Not that I think that really happens much anyway, but it is definitely a more thoughtful QD if you have gloves on.
Sure as hell is better than these.
QDMs we're gonna get to in the next video. And QDM, man, oh, tough one. God.
Another pro too that they did with this, as far as the keeper and the pad, is the keeper for your slack is built in there, so you can just tuck it in.
Yeah,
which is kind of nice. Thought out really well.
Yeah,
like
I do like that. Now, overall thoughts for me is, it's not a bad sling. I know we're criticizing some things. It's not a bad sling. My honest opinion is I feel it's a little overhyped. It feels to me like, okay, because it's sort of backed by some people of influence, everyone just goes, who doesn't even necessarily shoot goes like, well, it's the best. Well, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. Like, do you have time on it? For me, it's not the best sling. It's not a bad sling. It's not the best sling. So it just feels a little overhyped to me. Is my honest that's my honest assessment. You know?
Yeah.
What do you think? Fair?
I think so. Yeah.
So you do have some good color options, which is always nice, and that's one pro of this material.
Multicam arid.
Arid multicam,
Kinda
super cool.
Which is gonna be, yeah, same.
Yeah. They are going to be difficult to find in stock, so just know that if you're like, yeah, you know, it's not your guys' favorite, but I still want it because that's just what I want. Like, cool, you're not going to have it easy to, like, literally, this is the only one that I could find. Like, in Corona times, this is literally the only Slingster that I could find. So it's not easy to find these because, again, they're popular. Just know that going in, but...
and I just happen to have this one in a drawer.
Yeah. So not a bad sling, not shitting on it, just going, I think that there's some things that in my opinion, I would do a little bit differently, which is a very civilian asshole thing of me to say. But hey, you know, we've all got our 2 cents and that's mine.
And we're honest about it, so.
Yeah. So anyway,
cool.
That's Series 2 coming up. Series 3, it's going to be a banger. Just, I mean, like, it's going to be straight fire on episode 3. Chris,
so.
Who knows? We might even get Chris eating chicken on the 3rd one.
Not Chick-fil-A chicken. For damn sure.
Well, maybe we'll get it delivered out here since they deliver.
They don't deliver. Didn't you just say they don't deliver?
Yeah, I know, but your stupid ass didn't know that. Stupid. Anyway, we'll see you on part 3, everyone.
See you guys.